Hello PIXIFI fans, Tony Cooper once again with a update to your updates. So in our ongoing series of updates, and like I said before, this will be a regular feature, our next update is to create invoices on the fly from within a workflow. Yes, you did hear me right. Here's the entry into our PIXIFI updates, and you can see that you can now create an invoice inside of your workflow. Here is the dialog for it, which you'll see live in just a moment. And what this might be designed to do is to help you create something that may be either ongoing or something that is as a result of something else that you are doing in PIXIFI. So let's go take a look over here. The first thing that you're going to want to do with this update is you are going to want to set up in your templates a package template. Okay. The good thing about this is, and I'm going to remove this one. The good thing about this is that it is based off of this invoice that you're going to create is based off of a package. And as you know, or maybe you don't, a package can be a collection of any of your products. All right, so let's look at this. Let's say that I'm going to create a package for aggression consultation. You're processing that right now and you're thinking, does he really do aggression consultation, or is this a consultation for when he's aggressive? Don't think about it too much. But we're going to set this up as an item that has a regular retail price of $100, and we're going to say that it is $75 here for this package. We'll save this. Oops, we got to give it a package name. So aggression resolution. Oops, consultation. All right, so we're going to save that guy. Okay. So now we've created our package here in PIXIFI called Aggression Consultation, $75, but we know what the real cost was. And then over here in our templates, we're going to go to Workflow Templates. And we're just going to go ahead and add a new one, so we're working with a blank slate, so I'm not going to confuse anyone. All right, so we're going to call this Consultations Aggression. And this is going to be under my software brand. And you're probably wondering, why do we have aggression consultation under software? How much software have you used in your life? Okay, so under our workflow here, of course you can have any number of emails and text messages and all this other stuff and switch statuses and yada, yada, yada. But now you can add an invoice, which is pretty sweet. So we're going to select our aggression consultation that we just set up. This is our new package. Okay, and the typical totaling type selections are there. Auto payments, these are your payment terms, of course. Due upon sale for this one, and this is aggression consultation invoice. And these are any notes that you want to put on the invoice. Makes sense, right? And then what is the invoice due date? When is it actually due? So I'm going to say this is going to be 15 days after the event date. So this is an event workflow. So things that are in your workflow are based off of the same criteria that all other workflow items are. In this case, it's going to be after the event date. Let's just say after the workflow is applied. So when this workflow is applied, 15 days after is what the invoice due date is going to be, okay? When to create the invoice, you've got your tax profiles here as well. When to create the invoice is also available. So when do we want this created? I'm just going to say 1 day after the workflow is applied. So 1 day after the workflow is applied, it's going to create an invoice that is due in 15 days, and it is going to have a payment term of due upon sale. Now you'll remember the payment terms can have their own payment reminders, right? So the advantage to that is that even if you have an invoice due date, that you can also have separate payment reminders going out, okay? So that's good. So we're going to save this. And there is our automatic item, so that in this workflow, our invoice creates the aggression consultation invoice for the $75 package item that we had previously created. It's going to generate it 1 day after the workflow is applied, and it is going to make the due date 15 days after the workflow is applied. Okay, so we're going to save all that. Now also in phases, we're going to create a phase here that we're just going to call it phase 1. And this can be 5 days after the workflow is applied, whatever you want to do. Now, as you know, if you're going to apply an action item, which this new invoice thing is, you have to have a task in it. So we're going to say this is a studio staff, studio, whatever. Okay, so this first task is going to be, do we want to create the invoice? All right. So save that. And then we're going to add our automatic item, our action item, and that is to do exactly the same thing. Okay, we're just going to say this is due upon sale, and this is the aggression consultation invoice. And this subject item is also a good reminder in your workflows, so that when you're looking at them on your projects, on your other items, your other types of workflows, that you'll be able to tell what you're looking at. What is it there for? And the notes, of course, are what displays on your invoice. All right, and then the due date, like we did before, we're going to say, and this is going to be after the workflow is applied, and we're going to save that. Okay, and this particular item did not need, remember how the automatic item up here said, when do we want to create it? Well, we don't know when, we don't need to know when we're going to create it. Instead, we are going to create it when we click off this task, when we complete this task. So what's going to happen in the event, because this is an event workflow, is when we mark this task as complete, it is going to ask, depending on your settings, it is going to ask if you want to complete all of the actions or engage all of the actions that are set up for this workflow task or this workflow phase. Okay, and if you do, you click complete and you say yes, and it will create this invoice, and you don't have to think about it anymore. It's all done. Okay, so this is also available for projects. It's also available, it's not available for lead because you can't send an invoice to a lead. And in the upcoming product workflows, you'll be able to have all kinds of fun stuff. I won't go into any details, but this products update is amazing. Okay, so here we go with this item, and of course, once this gets applied, it's either going to create it up here, and you can remove this, of course, or it's going to create it down here in your actions. All right, so that is your update. You can come up with a bunch of reasons or a bunch of ways to do this. One of the things that I was thinking of is if you have the opportunity to do a switch a status, okay, we'll call post-production, when to switch is going to be 30 days after workflow is applied. Okay, so we're going to save that. All right, so and then over in our, we're going to go over to lists and types, event statuses. We're going to open up another tab over here. Okay, so in post-production, we are going to say that in our post-production status, it is going to engage a workflow called, where is that guy? The one we just set up, aggression consultation, right? Or aggression management or something like that. There it is, consultations, aggression. Okay, so it is going to apply this workflow. All right, so how does this work, right? What is going to happen is that if you're over here, 30 days after this workflow is applied to the event, it is going to change status to post-production. Post-production is going to engage that exact same workflow. And the process is going to repeat again. So it is going to create a new invoice. And then 30 days later, it's going to switch and create a new invoice. Okay, do you get the gist here? What you have the opportunity to do here is to create something that repeats, or something that is as a result of something else. It doesn't have to be post-production. You can switch this to something else completely in production. So in production, over on your statuses, instead of it coming up with this, your in production status could apply an entirely different workflow that does something else completely. And that could have an invoice attached to it. So it really gets you thinking about the possibilities of creating invoices based on what you need now, okay, or what you may need in the future. Creating an invoice doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to collect. It means you're going to create the invoice. And perhaps you have a whole different workflow. Perhaps your workflow is that invoices that are created are managed by your bookkeeper or your admin or your virtual assistant. Okay, so those people, they say, oh, a new invoice. Or if you're using Zapier, new invoice gets created, a Zapier trigger goes off, and suddenly you're doing a whole bunch of new stuff with your Zapier trigger. Okay, that may add to another trigger. There are just so many possibilities. I can't possibly do them all here in this one update. But there you have what you can do with the new invoicing item inside of your workflows. I hope you find some ways to use it. I would love to hear your feedback on this, because this is one of my favorite updates recently, because it just has so many possibilities. So let's hear from you. What are you using for? How do you see this helping your business? And even if it's not, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Hope to see you soon on the next update. Have a great day.